Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolf Pit with another episode of... Wait a minute, this isn't another episode of What Are We Eating? This is a What Are We Cooking video. Yes, I still know how to cook even after enjoying the satisfying and nutritious Dollar Tree foods. I absolutely love Chinese food, and egg foo young and East Coast style chicken chow mein are my two all-time favorite American Chinese foods. Egg foo young is usually deep fried and greasy in Chinese restaurants, but still very delicious. But as you have seen, I pan fry mine to make them slightly healthier. As you also know, I'm lazy, and making individual omelets or pancakes or whatever you want to call them gets redundant. Well, not really, but I wanted an excuse to make an egg foo young casserole or frittata, whatever you want to call it. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I finally did it, and I couldn't be happier. So let's get started and make a house special combination egg foo young casserole. Here I have roughly a quarter pound each of thinly sliced pork, beef, and chicken, and a quarter pound of medium Gulf shrimp that you could also cut in half if you like, but I like them whole. To the meats, I'm going to add Shaoxing Chinese cooking wine, soy sauce, toasted sesame oil, salt, granulated garlic, and white pepper. Then give it a good mix, then set aside and let it marinate for 10 to 15 minutes. If you want to marinate it longer, put it back in the refrigerator. Just let the meat sit out for 10 to 15 minutes before you cook it. You don't want to stir fry real cold meat, otherwise it'll reduce the heat in your wok or skillet and your meat will boil versus fry. I get asked a lot if you have to use a wok when you're making Chinese food, and the answer is no. A wok or a skillet will work just fine. So I'm going to use my cast iron skillet today to show you. I have about a 1/4 inch of oil preheating in the skillet over medium-high heat. You can use less oil if you like, but this will help it cook a little bit quicker and the oil will be drained from the meat anyway, so it's not really a big deal. You also don't want to overcrowd the pan or your meat will end up boiling versus frying. So I'm cooking our meat in 2 separate batches. You might ask, is it safe cooking all these meats together since some need to cook more and some need to cook less? The beef, pork, and chicken are all cut really thin and will cook in the same amount of time, and the shrimp literally take no time at all to cook. But with all of that said, I don't really want to fully cook everything yet, since it's going to finish cooking in the oven. Add half of the meat into the skillet and spread it out into an even layer and do not touch it for 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, begin to stir fry and continue to stir fry for about a minute. Remove the meat from the skillet and drain the oil. Add the remaining meat, spread it out into an even layer, and let it cook for 30 seconds and do not touch it. Then stir fry for 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, add the bottom parts of green onions. Then continue to stir fry for another 30 seconds. Then remove and drain the meat. After the meat cooled for about 10 minutes, I added it to a 9x13 greased casserole dish. To that, I'm adding peas and carrots. You can add any sort of vegetables you like, which is what I'm doing. For some reason, it's extremely rare to find fresh bean sprouts where I live unless I drive 45 minutes to get them. So I'm adding a can of bean sprouts that I've drained. Canned bean sprouts are okay, but if you can get fresh ones, they're so much better. Finally, add the top parts of the green onions and give it a good mixy-loo. Now pour in a dozen of well-beaten eggs that I've seasoned with salt, pepper, and a little bit of soy sauce. And then give it another good mixy-loo. Once everything is mixed well, try to make sure everything is covered with the egg to prevent it from drying out or burning. Then, place the uncovered casserole dish into a preheated 350-degree oven for 45 minutes to an hour or until the eggs are set in the center. You can't have egg foo young without the gravy, so while that's baking, let's make the gravy. In a saucepan, combine chicken broth with oyster sauce and soy sauce. Then bring it to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, add cornstarch slurry, which is equal parts cornstarch and water. Mix the slurry in until it thickens. Then give it a taste and adjust for seasoning with salt and pepper if needed. After baking at 350 degrees for 1 hour, our egg foo young casserole is ready. And it sure doesn't look very pretty, does it? After we got everything plated up, my daughter actually made a good recommendation to me and told me to put it underneath a broiler next time to get some color on it and a little bit of crispiness, which is her favorite part of egg foo young. Next time, I'll take her advice. Now there's really no reason to wait and let this rest and cool down before slicing it, so cut it into serving sizes as big or as small as you like. I should have just cut the whole casserole in half because that's how much I ended up eating. 3 pieces this size. Then pour as much or as little gravy as you like. I like a lot of gravy, so I'm adding a lot of gravy. And also, if you notice, my gravy is fairly thin, which is the way I like it. Sometimes when you get it from the Chinese restaurants, it's so thick it's almost like glue. So if you want a thicker gravy, add more cornstarch slurry. Once you've added as much gravy as you like, it's time to dig in. The difference in this egg foo young and restaurant egg foo young is you're going to get a bite of meat in every bite of this. And this bite right here is exactly why I like to leave the shrimp whole. They're moist, tender, and delicious. The marinade added a lot of moisture, flavor, and tenderness not only to the meat, but also to the egg mixture. The eggs were also nice and moist, tender, fluffy, and delicious. I'd say the house special combination egg foo young casserole was a total delicious success. I enjoyed making and eating this egg foo young casserole just as much as I do traditional egg foo young omelets or pancakes, whatever you want to call them. And it was a little bit easier than making individual servings. If you'd like to help support the Wolfe Pit, please consider being a patron. You can pledge as little as $1 a month, that's only $12 a year. And every little bit helps. It helps me produce more high quality videos more often for you, the people. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you give this a try. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.